A clap?
Yes.
Did you just say you have to clap?
No, he asked whether we
No.
wanted to clap.
Want to
I
clap?
don't want to clap.
Clap them cheeks.
Come on, make them clap.
All right, let's.
Spread them. Spread them, Barnes. Okay, I guess we got our intro. All right. One, two. After three.
Yeah.
After 3.
All right. 1, 2, 3. Do you just say clap?
I also clapped.
I think I fucked up my clap.
What did you
It's
fuck
fine.
up a clap?
I think I just hit it
Ask
wrong and
Ollie.
it didn't make a lot of noise.
Just hit it wrong. All right.
Story of your
Okay.
life.
Yeah, I just hit it wrong. Story of Ollie.
Did it wrong. It didn't make a lot of noise.
It's out of here! Bartolo has done it! The impossible has happened! 왼쪽으로 던져! 밖으로! 송원빈!
Who's the guy on first base?
That's right.
Okay.
All right.
I mean, what's the guy's name on first
So
base?
what is on second?
I'm not asking you who's on second.
Who's on third?
I don't know.
Oh, he's on third. We're not talking about him.
Welcome back, everybody, to Baseball Banter. We are now on Twitter. I want to mention that first. We are at mbgf_sports. I keep saying the name wrong, but this time I said it right.
Good job.
My name is Twan. Thank you so much. You just heard Ollie. Ollie, how are you doing?
Better than Barney. That's how I'm doing.
I was just about to ask. I'm just about to ask you. Are you ready to offer a platform to the Barnacle to discuss the events of the last week in Mariners land and give us a glimpse into the dark and all-consuming void that is Mariners fandom right now?
I have my popcorn.
Awesome, Barty. First off, how are you doing as a human being,
Tired is the best that I'm having right now.
and how are you doing as a Mariners fan? I guess that really sums it up, doesn't it? Just
It's been
a
a
sigh.
tough week, but it's also been a tough 2 decades. So
All right, let's just jump right into the big thing that was happening in the baseball world this week. Barney, you want to give us a little bit of context just on like the Mariners and who Kevin Mather is?
Yeah. So Kevin Mather is the former CEO of the Seattle Mariners. So the head of their front, I suppose. And the Mariners are an ostensibly major league level baseball team from Seattle that I love.
Bold claim.
Uh-huh.
However, they
And where are they right now in their like?
Seattle. No,
Yes,
they're
their geographical location is clear
So
from
they're
the name.
they're in the second year of a pretty big rebuild that was sort of triggered by the fact that they are the North American sports franchise that has gone the longest without showing up in a postseason. So the last time the Seattle Mariners were in the playoffs was in 2001, the year that they league record booked wins, and it's also Ichiro's his rookie year. But since then, they've been, I say this with love, dog shit. They've been awful for 2 decades. So they're working on a rebuild right now. Will claw themselves out of the hole and make it to a wild card.
All right. I think that pretty much sums up like the context of the Mariners right before, let's say, when did it happen? During the weekend?
It was either over the weekend or on Monday.
Yeah. So let's say like about a week ago, that's where the Seattle Mariners were at. So they have like 6 prospects in in the top 100 list. They're on the up. They had a Rookie of the Year. So the season was going to be exciting.
Yeah, they not only had the Rookie of the Year, they had 2 Gold Glovers who are both extremely young, one a rookie and one into the 3rd year of service time. And 2 of the top 5 prospects according to MLB Pipeline. So they are on the up and up, or so
It seemed, yes.
Still sort of seems.
Because we already mentioned Kevin Mather. So he's pretty much at the center of this entire, scandal is pretty much the way you could put it, I think. So I have a suggestion. We can either just go over all the things that he said that were a little like weird and just otherworldly stupid, or we can just talk about them one by one. What do you guys want to do?
Let's go one by one. Let's keep
One
it.
by one?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So, first point that Kevin Mather said. Like, maybe it's also good to mention that he was on a video call with the Bellevue Breakfast Rotary Club. And it was basically like a
For any of our
Q&A
listeners
on...
that don't know what a Rotary Club is,
Yeah, I didn't.
For me, that
Yeah.
doesn't know what a Rotary Club is.
Yeah, exactly.
they're an
So-
organization who say that their purpose is to bring together business and professional leaders in order to provide humanitarian service and advance goodwill and peace around the world. It's an old white guys club where rich old dudes can talk about the things that they do to be old and rich.
And so Kevin Mather was
An old white dude who is old.
He is an
and
old,
white
rich
dude.
white dude.
Yeah, and I think that really sketches the landscape here, because Kevin Mather was talking to these people as if he as if they were his friends. He wanted to impress them by showing off how cheap the Seattle Mariners could be. I guess that really sums it up.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about it. First thing he said is he was talking about their television deal with Root Sports, and he mentioned how they were punching well above their weight on the television. So basically, he thought that the television deal that the Mariners were getting probably too much money for what they were actually worth. Barney, how does that make you feel as a fan?
So, I'm a little tempered right now by the rest of the stuff that I know that we're going to talk about. So this doesn't seem like this is a dumb business move, I think, to say that you're getting too much money on your TV deal. But this, I don't find that offensive. Like this is admitting that the Root Sports know that doesn't bug me.
Okay.
Yeah, big business fleecing other big business. Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
The dumb part is saying it out loud while you're recording.
Yeah, I mean, it's a real rookie move. It's indicative of things to come for this whole situation. But I don't think that this in itself is offensive to Mariners fans.
No.
Well, the first real big thing that he dropped was how he talked about several top prospects that were added to their taxi squad last year. For our listeners, so last year there was no minor leagues, so all the teams were able to have a second squad, basically practice near the first team, if I'm saying that correctly.
Yeah, sure.
It was also a group of players that they would bring with them on road trips in case someone got COVID or someone got injured. Because there wasn't minor league. Exactly.
And they also added several top prospects to their taxi squad, which I think is a smart move. You still give these guys a way to practice and get high level instruction from your major league staff as well.
Yeah, in a void, smart move.
Yeah.
However,
However, the thing was that he said there was no chance that they were ever going to be added to the 40-man roster, as they didn't want to start the service time clock. So this points to a lot larger issue in baseball, which is service time manipulation. Basically, baseball players, when they reach the majors at a certain point in the season, the season that they are in counts towards their service time, and they will reach free agency sooner.
Major league players, when they come up from minor league ball, have 6 years?
Yes,
that
6 years.
They're
of
locked
time.
in with the team that brings them up. They can still be traded during that time, but they're not allowed to enter the free agency market. So they're not able to sort of determine their value on the free agency market for those first 6 years. So the way that major league squads will manipulate the service time is by bringing players up right after the point in the year when the year counts as a full year for service time reasons. So they essentially get an extra year out of these players, which both helps the squads immediately when they have really high quality prospects coming up, because they potentially get an extra year out of the guys. But it also pushes a lot of players back a year later for when they enter free agency, which can in aggregate across all rookie players that reach free agency, it can push down their value a little bit so that all of the team owners get a little better deal. So it's a little bit of full owner CEO collusion, and a little bit of just trying to get an extra year out of these really high quality products.
Yeah, and it's been a big issue. We've seen it happen to Chris Bryant. Last year, it arguably happened to Alec Boehm. Basically, what the owners will then say is he needs a little bit more time to work on defense, or when it's a pitcher, he needs to develop his curveball and such.
Yeah, they did it to Vladimir Guerrero Jr. 2 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. So, and it's all it's very clearly just a big scam.
It's an open secret.
It's an open secret. Everybody knows it, but nobody's ever said it up to now. And Kevin Mather really he said that there was a bigger chance of seeing him in left field than Jared Kelenic, their top prospects. Kelenic. Kelenic. Okay.
2 syllables.
Ah, okay.
That was one of the many issues with Mather's speech, was he mispronounced the name of his top prospect.
Yeah, and some other guy as well, which we're going to touch on later. So yeah, that's. I mean, like if only it had stayed to these two things, like the television deal and the service time, I think like okay, he would have kept his job.
He
It's
might
the
have
other
kept his
stuff.
job.
Yeah, it's the other stuff that is really discerning.
Yeah, so this service time manipulation thing is kind of interesting because with the CBA negotiations coming up, I think that this is probably going to end up having a lot bigger impact than just on Jared Kelenic and on the Mariners prospects that are coming up, because this is a very concrete example that the players' union can point to.
Yeah, the MLBPA.
And I think that it's going to lead to a lot of players winning a lot of negotiations with
definitely
owners now.
For those that don't know, CBA stands for
collective bargaining agreement. It's the union agreement between the players and the for like the terms of how their pay structure works and the different governing how they can be traded and free agency and all of that sort of stuff.
Yep. And it's going to be very interesting to see how that will evolve because they're going to reevaluate it after this season.
Yeah, the current CBA expires at the end of this season, so they're going to be negotiating a new collective.
And I think there's among baseball fans, there's already this foregone conclusion that we will have a work stoppage. Because it's become clear that like even in free agency, issues like the elite players still get paid, but everybody below that is not getting any money. I think like February 2nd, about 150 players were still free, like unsigned.
Which is ridiculous.
You see relievers who had a 1.5 ERA last year getting signed to minor league deals. So I know we've had a COVID season, but this is a problem that's been like been preceding the COVID season. So I mean, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens during the next off season, and this will have a large impact on that, I think. So let's talk about Seeger's wife who wants to sell their house. Barney, can you tell me why she wants to sell their house?
Yeah,
all of a
so
sudden?
This is where it starts to get
messy.
This is where it gets out of like bad business practice territory and into like insulting to Mariners players So Kyle Seeger is an extremely enfranchised Mariner. He's our veteran. He's our third baseman. He has, I think, the fourth most hits in organization history. He's our highest paid player. He's the cornerstone of the Mariners for quite some time. He spent his entire career in Seattle, and his contract ends at the end of this season with a one-year team option at the end. So that means the team can re-sign him for one more year at the end of this contract. However, Mather just came out and said that Kyle Seeger is not going to be with the Mariners next year, essentially saying that the team is planning on firing him at the end of the year, which is absurd because Kyle Seeger is an integral part of the team, and that's not how you break that news, nor is that an appropriate way to treat treat any of your players, as though regardless of the way that they perform, it's a foregone conclusion that they're going to be out of the team. It's not like his performance has been slumping over the last couple of years. So this is just a totally unprofessional and offensive.
Yeah, was he not really good last year?
Yeah, he had an excellent last year. He's gotten Gold Gloves. He's a great third baseman. I mean, I know that right now we're living in an era where there are absolutely tons of elite third basemen, but he is an excellent third baseman. So it's offensive to him. His wife tweeted, "Are we going to have to sell our house now?" Because it seems that he's going to be kicked out of Seattle now. So it's unfair to him, and it's offensive to Mariners fans who give a shit about this guy.
I completely understand. I think it's
now that go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. No, you go ahead.
Now that Mather's out, what are the odds of them actually keeping Seeger just to try and save some face?
It's tough to say because this Mather press conference, he did so much damage in 45 minutes, it's unbelievable. So they've got holes everywhere that they need to plug. They need to... So one of the things that he said was that Jared Kelenic wasn't going to start the season this year on the Mariners starting roster. So you could argue that they need to have him on their starting roster at the beginning of the season now to save face. There are all sorts of places. So I don't know. And Mather's still a part owner of the Mariners. I guess we should have mentioned has a minority stake in the Mariners. And the current president of the board has they've sort of hand-waved a few apologies, but there are still a lot of established Mariners front office people. So I don't know how much is actually with regard to this, just because one guy left. It's tough to see. So we'll see what Mariners manager Scott Servais and GM Jerry Dipoto, who are the two who ultimately are in charge of who comes and goes. We'll see what they do, but I'm not confident that keep Kyle Seeger.
He also called him overpaid.
He did.
How much is he getting paid right now?
I mean, he's on a $100 million contract. I think it's like a 6-year, $100 million contract. So he is certainly getting paid the most on the Mariners.
That's not bad for an elite third baseman, though.
Exactly. Yeah. So
that's the thing.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like he's
currently getting 19.5 million.
Yeah, that's not. I mean, that's a lot of money. Like.
Yeah.
But that's a reasonable amount for an elite level player to be paid.
Exactly, and for a franchise player, for the face of the organization for the last 10 years.
For sure.
Oh, we should also mention Kyle Seeger is the big brother of Corey Seeger.
And the better one, right?
Exactly.
The better of the Seeger brothers.
At least the better paid Seeger brother.
Yeah, that's true, but not for long.
Yeah, not for long. So yeah, big brother of Corey Seager, World Series MVP, Corey Seager. Yeah. So they're a baseball family.
Yeah, they also have a middle brother who was just I think he was a minor league player for the Orioles. I don't know his name, but yeah, it's very much a baseball family, the Seegers.
Absolutely.
All right. So there was also this guy Luis Torres, who Mather called Luis Torres for about 3 times or 4 times. He spoke very highly of the player. He just couldn't remember his correct name, which, I mean, that can happen. But like in the bigger picture of all the other things that he said is like indicative of how he feels about his players, I think. He called Marco Gonzalez boring. Marty, do you agree?
No. So Marco Gonzalez he's already been announced as the opening day starting pitcher for the Mariners. He is top of their rotation. This is now the 3rd year in a row that he's gotten the call as opening day starter. He's an excellent pitcher. He doesn't necessarily throw absolutely like blazing fast, but he's a great pitcher regardless. I think he got called boring because he doesn't consistently throw triple digits. I don't know.
Yeah, it was his personality.
All right. Well, it was also Marco Gonzalez that Mather just made up some untrue story that's now been confirmed as untrue about him shoving a former Mariner player into a locker over a dispute. The whole thing is very confusing. It was very like schoolyard telling a lie to try to make yourself look good.
Yeah, that's what I thought as well. He was just making up a story.
Yeah, Marco Gonzalez, however, is not boring.
No, he's arguably like the 2nd or 3rd best lefty in the AL probably right now. I mean, he's up there. He doesn't have the pedigree yet. Yeah, he doesn't have the pedigree yet, but I think he'll make like in this like the Mariners window, which is probably opening up soon. He'll probably be a big piece.
Yeah, he's only 29. Let's see. Last year his ERA, he had a 3.10 ERA. So he's been improving every year. He's gone from 4 to 3.90s to 3.10 last year. Mm-hmm. So he's a good pitcher. He's not a boring guy. I mean, he's getting the opening day start over former Mariner turned Mariner again, James Paxton, who's absolutely elite. So maybe the only one of the only guys that can compete with him in terms of quality left-handed pitchers in the American League.
The Pax himself. It's good company.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
All right. So there's about a bunch of other service time issues. So we've talked about Jared Kelnick. There's also Logan Gilbert, on which he said he will be on the mound in April, but not on April 1st because of service time. Well, he didn't say because of service time, but he made it clear that it was because of service time manipulation. I think we've touched upon this. It's bad. It's just bad. Maybe we can get into the fleecing of the players a little bit more. Ollie, like we've seen team-friendly deals offered to players early in their career, sometimes before they even have played a major league game. Can you explain to the listeners why an owner would do such a thing or a team?
So for the first 3 years that a player plays in the major leagues, they make minimum wage, which is MLB minimum wage, so still about $500,000 a year. And the 3 years after that, they're under team control, so they can't sign with just anybody. But the team and the player do go to an independent arbiter to determine their salary based on their past production and, the salaries of players like them. And then after those 6 years, they become a free agent, which means they can sign with anybody. Which means that if you got a guy who comes up, he plays very well for 3 years, then he's going to be paid a lot of money in your organization for 3 years after that. And then he's going to become a free agent and get paid even more money. Mm-hmm. So if you offer him a slightly smaller deal where he gets paid more money for the first 3 years, but basically nothing compared to what he is worth for the next 3, then that's
and then the options, you get team options.
Yeah, so then you can
for the 3 years after that.
Yeah, you can add extra years to the contract where the team gets to decide whether or not they pay that player to play for them, which all in all is just an extremely team-friendly deal and could work out better for a player who does not do well in the majors. Mm-hmm. But a player who does do well has the opportunity to make, easily 6 times that amount of money.
Evan White is one of the 2 Mariners that won a Gold Glove this year. He is an elite first base defender. His hitting struggled a little bit this year, but he had also some of the highest bat exit velocities in the league, so there's a good chance that he's also going to turn into an above-average hitter.
Yeah, he was very unlucky.
Yeah, and what he signed with the Mariners before his first day of Major League play was a 6-year contract ranging from $1.3 million for his first 2 years, so well above the minimum wage. 1.4, $3 million, $7 million, $8 million in the last year of it, with 3 additional team options. So the team can pick him up for an additional 3 years after that at 10, 11, and 12 million. So
that's incredibly team-friendly.
It's super team-friendly for an elite player, or who will likely be an elite player. I mean, he's only had 1 year of service time.
Yeah, but let's say he enters free agency as an elite level player, then he could easily be worth $20 million in free agency.
Exactly, and they've got him for up to 9.
God.
So.
I also understand taking the guaranteed money because you don't know how your career is going to turn out, but still.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the issue, I think a team is free to offer this to a player, and a player I can understand players accepting it. I mean, it's a lot of money. It's life-changing money both for you and your family.
Yeah.
It gives you insurance. The issue that Mather created though was the fact that he stated that he offered a similar deal to Jared Kelenic, and then he kind of mocked him for trying to bet on himself. I mean, it wasn't very explicit, but he made sure to they were very disappointed with the fact that he didn't want to take the deal, and that that Jared Kelenic wanted to bet on himself a little bit more.
Yeah, it's
and players have arguably always been underpaid, especially in their first 6 years.
Oh yeah,
because there's a value per wins above replacement, which is 4 to 5 million.
More, it's 9.
Yeah, it's 9. So imagine having a 3-war season is worth
Have we mentioned wins above replacement yet on the show?
Yeah, we've talked about it.
Have we?
All right.
Yeah.
Let's do it again just to be sure.
Yeah. So wins above replacement is basically how many wins a player is worth compared to if a replacement, so completely average level player, would play in his place.
Not an average player for the league,
average.
An average rookie.
Yeah.
Sorry, average rookie. Yeah.
If you pick up some dude from the minor leagues and then you swap him out for this guy, how many more wins will your team have over the season?
Yeah. And it's very it's an all-encompassing stat, so it tries to both do batting as well as defense, as well as base running.
It's far from a perfect stat. It's still being tweaked every other year, but
it's
probably the most encompassing stat for just a player's worth.
It's a very interesting end result stat that helps compare 2 players who might play different positions or be in different eras. It has one of the most complicated ways that it's calculated that we can't even begin to here.
Yeah, no, that's an entire show.
Yeah, but it essentially does help sort of just compare any 2 players against one another who has helped their team win.
Yep. Yeah. So why was I talking about this? Oh yeah, so
money for wins above replacement.
Yeah. So per win above replacement is worth $9 million. If you're worth 3 WAR, which is a good player. A good player is worth 3 WAR per season.
Yeah.
That would mean that they're worth
starter. 5
yeah,
is
exactly.
5 is all-star and 10 is MVP.
Yeah. So imagine you're just a starter. You're worth 2 WAR. That means that you're worth $18 million
a year.
And players like generally are not getting 18 million until like the last year of arbitration. So like the last year before they reach free agency. So
And a
for
lot of
like
guys
most of the
get
time,
more war than
they're
that.
underpaid. Yeah, exactly. So it's a pretty bad showing for a team to like value the fact that they're underpaying players. Although it's not just, and then we're gonna get back to this. It's not just the Mariners' problem. It's a baseball problem.
No, it's been a very tough week as a Mariners fan because this is coming to light for the Mariners. However, this is like just a window into what's happening probably in every team in the league.
Yeah, this is an owner issue.
Yeah.
A baseball executive.
Yeah, just to wrap back to this Jared Kelenic issue, I'm not 100% sure that this is from his agent directly, but I've been seeing that he and his agent have said that he's now being retaliated against in some ways for not taking the team-friendly deal. So I don't know if that has to do with service time or what, but apparently he's now facing retaliation for not taking this deal, which is crazy. I can't wait to see. I'm expecting to see Jared Kelenic be an incredibly active member of the Players Union very soon.
Definitely, especially if he gets his service time manipulated this year.
Yeah.
You can imagine him just like, because he's pretty much ready, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, there's an argument that he was ready to come up last year.
Well, but they weren't going to do it because they weren't in win now mode, which is also stupid, but you know. Okay. Maybe we can get it to like a little bit more. There's probably like, go ahead.
We should probably just briefly touch on the fact that like this whole thing, in the middle of it, there was like a little bit of an overtly racist interlude.
Yeah, I was going to touch upon that. Yeah.
To the whole thing. So yeah, I guess we should say Kevin Mather is like an established not good guy. He probably should never have been the CEO of the team. He had like very credible sexual assault allegations against him before he became the CEO of the team, where he just sort of settled out of court with the women who accused him of that. So like, not a good dude.
No.
Before this conference came out. But then he went on this like weird tangent, totally unprovoked, about non-American born players' English skills. He complained about Julio Rodriguez. And,
who was loud.
Yeah, called him loud and his English bad, which is weird. Julio Rodriguez, for like a non-native English speaker, has very good English. He posts videos all the time. Like, it's crazy.
I also saw a video, like, just like quickly to talk about this. I heard about that he had an interview, I think 3 years ago with The Athletic or something like that, completely in English. And he was so excited about him being able to do that he called his parents afterwards to tell about the fact that he was able to do it in English. So I can only imagine like how he must feel right now.
Yeah, Julio Rodriguez is amazing. Like I agree that he has like a big personality, but that's absolutely not a detractor from him. Like that's one of the things that makes him great. Is he's this wonderful, like outspoken, like happy personality.
And like we're going to touch on later, it's a thing that the MLB needs more of.
Exactly. Yep. We need to like treat people like Julio Rodriguez well. He's a superstar. He's number 4 in MLB pipeline. Like he's only 20 years old. He puts out great content. Like we should be doing nothing but applauding him. And the Mariners organization should be trying to build him up as much as possible, not complaining about the fact that he doesn't speak absolutely perfect first language English.
He could be your Jose Fernandez or your Fernando Tatis Jr.
Exactly.
Your winner, the winner on the mound.
So
the guy you build around.
Exactly, and they are in part building around him for this rebuild effort. He's like one of the few like really huge pieces of the Mariners rebuild. So it's like a bizarre, terrible take to just unprompted start complaining about. Mather then also talked about Hisashi Iwakuma, who spent 6 years as a Mariners pitcher, was loved by the fans and everything. He was a good pitcher. He went back to Japan for a while, and now the Mariners have brought him on in a front office role so that he can help them scout international talent. And then Mather went off on this weird tangent, like complaining about his English and about how they have to pay a translator for him. And this was brought up, I think, in John Boy's excellent coverage of this whole situation. Like, these translators aren't there in the dugout with them, like, doing translation on the fly for everything. Like, these players do learn English. They do speak it well and play and use it to communicate with their teammates when they're playing. They use translators for when they go in front of the media, and they don't want to inadvertently make a fool of themselves in an interview.
Like Kevin Mather did.
Yeah, which is a totally reasonable thing to do.
Yeah.
Like these guys are moving to a new country, learning a new language, and they just feel more comfortable answering questions with the help of a translator. Like it's a crazy, like that's a totally reasonable thing for them to want to do. Like they came here to play baseball, not to like have to learn a new, and they already do that. So it's a crazy, like bizarre like thing to complain about. These are like, I think that like sports players in general are underrated for how smart they are. I think that like tons of high caliber athletes like have to be incredibly smart people, and then we often just like sort of pretend that they're muscleheads that aren't smart. But these people are really smart, and they just don't want to accidentally come off as not smart through not being first. So it's like I could complain about this for hours.
Well, maybe in a different podcast, Barnes.
Yeah.
We'll do another podcast just on Barney complaining.
I'll just talk into my pillow.
When are we starting the podcast Barney Rants? And just like only Barney shows up and he just goes, all right, so.
You know what really grinds my gears?
Here's some bullshit.
It's not always baseball stuff.
No, it's just life. I feel like that has like some life to it.
Yeah.
We'll write it down.
Yeah.
There's also this whole stuff. Yeah, we'll put a pin in that. There's also this whole weird parking situation that he mentioned where he thinks that the stadium, the Mariners Stadium, is in a pretty bad neighborhood. And he then like lets his employers park on the other side of town, and then they get a police escort to the field and back. But at the same time, he also has a parking garage near the stadium for which
it's across the street from the stadium.
Yeah, and he asks huge amounts of rent, and he's pretty proud of how much money he makes off of that.
Yeah, it's absurdly
it's a whole bunch
to,
of weird. It's like for baseball wise, it's probably the least like weird stuff, but in just being an executive and taking care of your employers, employees, that's pretty bad.
Yeah, no, it's just him being a shitty human being.
Yeah. I think that's like the general gist of it, though. He is just a pretty shitty human being.
Yeah, he just decided to go on this Zoom call and just try to show off the way that he thought that he could to who he felt like were his peers. And that apparently he thought was just by being as shitty as possible in as many ways as possible. Yeah. Like, I will give it to him. I'm kind of impressed with how many different like bad takes and shitty angles he was able to have in 45 minutes.
The thing is, though,
he barely came up for breath.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, like, I've read through the entire transcript, and if you just glance over it, it doesn't all look as bad. It's when you look at the specific things that he's saying. If you just go through it and you're like, you probably wouldn't have picked up on a lot of these things. It's just a reaction from someone like John Boy who breaks it down and actually notes to like what the issues are and why the things that he's saying are bad. And it's good that we have such an active community of people in baseball that are like still looking out for when owners do shitty things. And I hope that it's only going to be to improve the sport, because like I already said, it's more of a baseball problem than just a Mariners problem.
So
I just want people to be in charge of baseball that like baseball.
Yeah, when the strike inevitably comes, it will be a good thing.
Yeah, I think the long-term effect of this is bizarrely a positive one, even if it's not for the Mariners. I think that like for all of baseball, this will be good because it does really like put a spotlight on how these owners and these front office management folks are primarily concerned with the business side of baseball, and they will belittle the players that their organization is built around. They'll intentionally manipulate these young potential superstars just so that they can make more money, which is not healthy for contributing prolonged success. It's very short-sighted.
No. All right. Anything else, guys, on this particular topic?
I mean, I think this is a good segue into what we'll be talking about after trivia and a little bit of break, which is how we can think about, in light of this, improving the quality of Major League Baseball and making it so that it doesn't just atrophy away because of cheap owners. Amongst
other things, and also like just the product on the field.
Yeah.
Basically a response to Foolish Baseball's video, which was released a little bit while ago. So.
Yeah, and we'll put a link to that in the down below on YouTube.
Yeah, the doobly-doo.
The doobly-doo, exactly.
Yeah,
I wanted to say it.
We'll also put links in the in the podcast show notes on everywhere else. We'll put links to John Boy's breaking down of the video. Probably a link to the full video if we can find it.
I think it's been taken down now.
I think it's been re-uploaded though, but we'll have a look at it.
Has been. And also Foolish Baseball's fix shit video.
Yeah. All right. We'll see you guys after the short break. All right, welcome back, everybody. I hope you've all taken like some sips of water to settle down a little bit after everything we've discussed.
Maybe listen to the tape and your blood is boiling like mine is.
Exactly, or like just like you watch the video and your eyes are bleeding and you just like want to end it.
Or you watch the John Boy video and then watch like 600 other of his videos because those breakdowns are great.
In that case, welcome back in 2022.
Welcome back from the rabbit hole that you just went down.
Exactly. Isn't it the best? All right, we're going to do some trivia. Guys, I'm going to talk about losing.
Okay.
Since that's also part of baseball.
That's part of the Mariners experience.
The baseball experience is there's basically never a tie. There have been ties. The last one was apparently in 2016. Where rain forced the game to be stopped in the sixth inning with a score of 1-1 between the Chicago Cubs and the Pittsburgh Pirates. However, for the most part, there's a team that wins and there's a team that loses. So I just want to go over the win-loss record quickly. Can you guys name a team with the lowest percentage, with the lowest win percentage in Major League history, like all games played ever?
Is that?
Oh, I saw
Cleveland Spiders.
No, I saw a game of this recently.
So it's the 30 active teams.
Oh, okay. Dang it.
I want to say it's the Marlins or the Diamondbacks. I know the Mariners are like third lowest.
Yep, that's true. You got that right.
What team sucks?
Is it the Pirates?
The Pirates. No, the Pirates are actually 10th all time and 10th best.
Yeah, the Pirates have just been around for so long that them sucking for the last 10 years hasn't really put a dent in anything.
The law of
kind of even
averages
it out.
Really helping the Pirates, No,
it's like
I want to say that it's the Marlins, the Rockies, or Diamondbacks.
I think it's the Marlins.
Padres are also pretty low, I believe.
All right, so Marlins are number 29 overall.
Dang it.
The Rockies are number 27 overall.
All right.
Number 26 is the Philadelphia Phillies, by the way, but I digress.
Fun and fresh.
And then who did you say, Ollie?
I said Marlins also.
Marlins, yeah. And then Diamondbacks are 15th.
Oh.
Wow.
So they're bang in the middle. The worst team ever, according to win-loss record, is the San Diego Padres.
Oh.
They are at .461, which is like 0.001% worse than the Miami Marlins, which will probably change next season.
I would guess that the Padres are going to do better than the Marlins.
Yeah. So I think like their goal will be don't be the worst team ever anymore.
That's a good goal.
Now, win percentage is relative, of course. Let's look at an absolute number. Can you guys tell me which team has lost the most games in MLB history? And take a guess at how much it is.
Is this like as an organization?
As an organization.
So like
then it's got to be
moved around.
It's still I think it's just
like does this count the Dodgers when they were in New York?
No.
Because if it does, then I'm saying.
Oh, it does. Sorry, it does. The Dodgers. It does take the Dodgers into account when they were in New York.
I'm going to say it's the New York Yankees because they've just been around forever.
I think it's the Dodgers because they've been around for longer.
Okay. So Yankees are actually not. They're very average in their number of losses. There's a big drop off between them and all the new franchises.
Yeah.
So
pretty much they're just the best of the old ones.
From all the old ones, like dating back to 1880. So all the teams that started between 1876 and 1901, they're the best team in terms of avoiding to lose.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, and then the Dodgers are like 8th worst in number of losses.
Okay.
Hey Barnes.
So the Yankees has
Giants.
So the Yankees have 7,840 losses. The Dodgers have 9,835 losses. The Giants have 9,718 losses. Mm-hmm. So I'll give you the top three. So at number 3 is the Chicago Cubs, who are at 10,405 456.
Brutal.
I should have guessed the Cubs after they just broke their 100-something year streak of
108
not.
year
Yeah.
World Series wins or
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
World Series not win streak.
That's the one. Number 2, Atlanta Braves, which was a surprise to me because of their dominance in the 90s, but they've lost 10,684 games.
Yeah.
Number 1 is your Philadelphia Phillies. With
Barney, we should have
exactly 11,000 losses.
All right, so Philadelphia Phillies never going to lose again?
No,
Just to keep that
exactly.
number?
Always 11,000. They were the first team to 10,000 losses. They're also the first team to 11,000 losses. It's great being a Philly fan. I also wanted to point out that the longest major, you guys want to take a guess at which team had the longest losing streak in Major League history since the divisional era, which is after 1959, I think.
Ooh.
So consecutive lost game.
Yeah, can be spread over multiple seasons.
I feel like the White Sox lost 26 at some point, but I might be thinking of something else.
No.
I might be just wrong.
Yeah, you're just wrong.
Okay, that's how I usually am. Just straight up wrong.
Just wrong.
Yeah.
I have no idea because it's easy to.
It's again the Philadelphia Phillies.
Fuck.
In 1961, they lost 23 games in a row.
Oh.
So the Philadelphia Phillies are not only the losiest franchise in baseball history, they also have the record for the worst bullpen ERA in history and the record for the most games lost in a row in history.
Tawan, that hurts me on a metaphysical level.
I thought it would. They ended that season, by the way, with a 47-107 record.
So this is an interesting difference then between your Phillies and my Mariners, because it seems that the Mariners don't win and the Phillies lose. Is that what we're taking away from this?
This is accurate. The Phillies still win, but they also lose a lot more.
Yeah, the Mariners just don't win.
Also,
And the
we've
Blue
been
Jays just
around
kind
way
of
longer.
Exist.
Yeah, they're pretty average, I think. The Blue Jays have
They won back-to-back World Series and then decided that they weren't going to be a factor until 2015.
That works. Oh yeah, and then just to rub it in for the city of Philadelphia, the longest regular season losing streak in the NBA is also by the Philadelphia 76ers, who lost 28 straight games.
What was the biggest
Ouch.
NFL loss streak?
It's that's
the
the
Cleveland
NFL. I don't know.
Browns.
Probably the Eagles.
The Cleveland Browns going 0-16 and 1-15 the year before is probably the longest one.
Yeah, I guess we do know that.
Longest NFL loss streak. Chicago Cardinals.
What?
29 consecutive games.
Oh,
So that's
Chicago
that's-
Cardinals.
Yeah, that's two seasons
What
of just losing.
year was that?
1942 to 1945.
All right, then I'm forgiving myself for not knowing that.
No.
I,
All right, that was my trivia.
I didn't know that the NFL was invented that long.
It's pre-merger, so pre-Super Bowl era. So yeah.
Fun losing. Part of the game, but not as fun as winning, I think.
It's half the game.
Yep. All right, Barney,
Yo.
hit us.
All right, so 2001 World Series, Game 7. Starting pitchers were Curt Schilling and Roger Clemens. I think that it's interesting that the winning pitcher of that game was not the starter, nor was it a relief pitcher or a closer. It was a starter who was pitching in relief. Pretty easy to guess
All right.
who it was if you know anything about
Yeah,
the 2001
Yeah, it's
Diamondbacks.
Randy Johnson, right?
Yeah. I think it's kind of
Yeah, he
cool
had it.
that Randy Johnson came in relief in the 2001 World Series, won Game 7.
Yeah. It's kind of like what Madison Bumgarner did in 2014, coming in for a 5-inning save or something.
Yeah. It's just absurd to me that the pitchers for that game, I guess the Diamondbacks are another, but the pitchers were Roger Clemens, Curt Schilling, Randy Johnson, and Mariano. That's
4
Hall of Fame caliber pitchers in one game, which you don't see very often.
You do not.
I say Hall of Fame caliber because
Yeah,
Curt Schilling is not
yeah.
going into the Hall of Fame.
No, probably not.
Probably not.
Again, we can fill a whole podcast just on Curt Schilling.
That is a future pod.
Yep, the Curt Schilling.
I think that we could fill an entire podcast with each one of those.
Oh yeah, definitely. But we've had a lot of Mariano Rivera stuff already, right?
Well, we talked about closers, and he was always the answer.
Yeah. Isn't
Yeah.
Mariano Rivera always the answer? Period.
I mean,
All right.
not if you want a complete game.
Well,
Not if you want a pitcher who will win the World Series.
sad.
To lose Game 7 of it.
Sad. Well, but you've also won a lot. You won 3 of them.
Yeah, we're ignoring that.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
That's true. I forgot. Okay, Ollie, hit us.
All right. So, The score is 3-2. It is July 27th, 1930, and the Chicago Cubs are playing the Cincinnati Reds. The Cubs, I think the Cubs lead 3-2. 1 second, double checking my everything. The Cubs lead 3-2, and they have the bases loaded with nobody out in the top of the sixth. Larry Benton is removed from the game as the Reds pitcher, and Ken Ash comes in. He throws a single pitch, and Chicago Cub Charlie Grimm hits into a triple play, ending the inning. The Reds rally in the bottom of the sixth, take the lead, and Ken Ash gets the win with one pitch thrown. So I thought it would be interesting to take a look at other situations where a reliever comes in, throws a single pitch, gets out of the inning, and gets the win. It's happened a lot in Major League history, and that's just from the Major Leagues officially tracking pitch data from starting in 1988. So then I thought it would be interesting to take a look at who's done it the most. And 4 different players have done that 3 times. Coming in relief, thrown one pitch, got the win.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are we talking like baseball history ever?
Since 1988. Because
1988. Okay.
Yeah, because before that, there's no consistent pitch data.
Yeah.
Or like number of pitches isn't tracked, so you can't find who threw one pitch.
Okay. So here's my guess is that Mariano Rivera's one.
I don't think
Mario. Let's. I do not have Mariano Rivera in my list of.
So the
who's done
reason
most.
is that Mo never got put in when he was in a situation to get a win. That's like closers don't get put in when they have the opportunity to get a
Well,
win.
sometimes they get put in like the top of the ninth at a tie game.
Yeah, Mariano Rivera has never done it.
Okay.
Like
Only.
it happens every now and then, but like the overwhelming majority of times that closers are not, they're not in a win situation.
So my
Their own
opinion is,
stat.
so this has to be like a guy with like a very high ground ball rate, because I assume like at least some of them are like double play guys,
There were 28 such double plays.
like inning-ending, game-winning double plays. Then.
Well, inning-ending double plays in which their team took the lead in the next inning for the last time.
Yeah.
Or the next half inning for the last time.
So Zach Britton.
Zach Britton is not in the list. He has never done it.
Tim Lincecum.
Tim Lincecum. Interesting. Tim Lincecum is not in this list.
All right, could you give us like a hint or something? Because I think
I've never heard of any of these guys. You're not guessing it.
Oh, okay. Fun trivia then.
My guess is Fernando Tatis Jr.
My guess is
incorrect.
Fernando Tatis.
No. All right. David Robertson did it 3 times for the New York Yankees in 2008, 2009, and 2011.
Okay, I've heard of him.
Yeah. Rich Rodriguez did it in 97 for the Giants, and then twice more in 2002 for the Texas Rangers.
Okay.
Luis Vizcaino? I'm pretty sure I'm pronouncing that wrong.
Vizcaíno.
Vizcaíno?
I think.
Did it twice in 2002 for the Brewers, and then once more in 2007 for the Yankees. And this guy, I'm not going to pronounce his name right, Brian Shousey?
Shousey.
Shouse.
Yeah,
did it
that's
3
Shousey.
times in 2008 for the Milwaukee Brewers, and then never did it again.
So one, okay. The only
I also-
single season guy then.
Yeah.
Cool.
I also looked it up for individual franchises. The Dodgers have done it 14 times. They've done it the most. Just send a guy out there, single pitch, that's W.
Cool.
And then I looked it up for our franchises, because obviously. The Phillies have done it 4 times. Toronto has done it twice, and Seattle has done it 1 time.
Seems about right.
Exactly.
It
once.
reflects the age of the franchise,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
More or less.
didn't Toronto enter the league after Seattle?
I don't know what
sure
Toronto entered.
77,
Let's
I
see.
thought.
It might have been. I think that was the same.
It's the same
okay.
year, 77.
Yeah,
both.
that's
Cool.
the same expansion.
Fun.
And I just rewatched the John Boyce video on the Mariners. I should have known that.
Well, that was
Yeah.
fun.
I
That's
love
good trivia.
that I have no way of guessing.
Oh, yeah, 0%
'cause
chance
then
of guessing.
You're just like, there's got to be a way.
Who's every middle reliever since 1988?
Oh boy. All right. All right. Let's go into our next segment, which is where we talk about how we would like to fix baseball. So Foolish Baseball, who's a baseball YouTuber, so go check him out on YouTube. He made a fun baseball bits video where he imagines to be the commissioner or the emperor of baseball, as he called it. Ollie, could you tell us who the current baseball emperor is and what he does?
current baseball emperor is Rob
Yes.
Manfred. And basically what he does is he kind of decides the general direction of baseball as a whole. So he's elected by the owners, if I'm not wrong.
Yes.
And so his goal is to make sure that baseball is and stays competitive, fair, and for the most part, profitable for the owners.
Especially profitable for the owners.
Especially profitable for the owners. So his goal is make baseball profitable while also making it seem like, baseball is a real fair sport and fans can get invested in it. So his office is responsible for handing out suspensions, for example, for players.
Yeah.
And making rule changes.
Yeah. And so Foolish Baseball's goal as Emperor of Baseball was to make the league better without alienating its existing fans or alienating its owners.
Yeah.
So he mentioned a lot of issues or things he wants to improve. Barney,
Yeah.
you told us that you had a lot of things you wanted to point to. So
Yeah,
maybe you can give us a quick rundown of whatever you.
Yeah, so, well, I guess if we're going to respond to the Foolish Baseball video, we should start with, sort of the broad strokes categories that that addressed, which are improving the game that we see played on the field, how to make sort of the ownership side of the sport more conducive to, the sport being good long-term. I think the answer to that is just not having people like Kevin Mather involved in baseball. And the third was driving youth participation in the game and getting more people interested in baseball. And we should also be a little bit careful here because when we say baseball, when we talk about what Rob Manfred does, that's for Major League Baseball in the U.S. And we should be careful to not necessarily conflate that with the sport.
No, definitely.
So I think for the most part, what we're talking about is Major League Baseball because that's sort of the figurehead that steers a lot of other baseball. But they're certainly and actually, I think the stuff that I have will come up later on a little bit more because I think that in this third category of creating more young baseball fans and getting more people interested.
Yeah.
So maybe we should touch on good ideas for how to improve the game that we see on the field and also the whole mess of profit-hungry capital.
Yeah, so probably one of the things that is concerning about the current state of the game is that baseball games are getting longer and longer. So what Foolish, or his name is Bailey, I think, but Bailey said, I forgot the word for it. One of his suggestions, that's the one, is to have a pitch clock when the bases are empty of 18 seconds, which I feel
that's one that's very close to already being in the game.
Exactly, because it's already in the lower, the higher minor leagues.
It's in every minor league. It's in foreign competitions. It's in the international competitions organized by the WBSC. It's everywhere except for MLB right now.
Yeah, I don't see a reason to not include it. What the exact number is, people can talk about for days, a pitch clock should.
Yeah. Another one was to move the mound back and enforce rules against foreign substances in order to make that more balls are hit into play and that we can see more spectacular defensive plays or base hits where guys chase behind the ball and such instead of just strikeouts and home runs and walks.
So this kind of touches on a question that I have for you guys, which is, are there ways that you would change the physical game of baseball? So when I say the physical game, in general, moving the mound, changing the distance to bases, changing the mandatory size of fields, what would you guys do if you could wave a magic wand to make the game more interesting?
I would keep the field the way it is. That seems because changing the dimensions of the field create a whole bunch of other issues that I don't want to bother with.
Yeah.
But a different thing that he brings up is creating a baseball with more drag, and that would fix if you enforce the rules against foreign substances and add drag to the baseball. Then I think that fixes both the offensive explosion problem and the 3 true outcome problem. Because go ahead.
Yeah, I was just saying, I completely agree with you. I think moving the mound back is going to, you have to think about the wider implication of that. That means that a lot of, pitchers have worked their entire life based on the distance that is currently in place.
Yeah.
If you change that, you might, completely disrail complete careers. Young players will have an advantage because they'll have it easier to adjust probably. People who are already in the league will find it a bit harder.
And stats will just go nuts because nothing will be comparable.
Exactly. There will be a before and after.
Yeah.
What you can do is like lower the mound or raise the mound, which is something that's happened,
Yeah,
a million
that's
times
I'd be
already.
more okay with raising the mound up a little bit. Maybe a little bit of pitcher bias there, but like.
Yeah, exactly.
But also, pitchers will lose their minds. Not only for like, if you move the mound back, like. So, a little anecdote: we were out playing baseball the other day, the three of us, and we were taking some live at bats, practicing some pitching, and we were just playing out in a local park. So we had to measure out the distance from home plate to the pitcher's mound with steps, a ruler with it.
Another disclaimer: I'm really bad at distance projections, and just like. Yeah.
So
okay.
I walk out the distance from home plate to the pitcher's mound, so that Tuan can start pitching, and I was off by probably 18, which I'm not too.
What's that in meters?
Embarrassed about. I don't know.
He
Like
had it at 20
something.
meters when it should be 18.6, like give or take.
Well,
It was not
So-
20. That wasn't a meter difference.
it was.
oh yes, it was.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was.
No.
Yeah.
Anyway, anyway, go ahead.
Anyway,
Tuan lost his mind. like in like a casual, like we're throwing balls, we're hitting balls, we're trying to have fun. Immediately Tuan's complaining about having to pitch from a further distance and being disadvantaged in the most casual setting imaginable. So
Yeah, no comment.
I can only imagine what major league pitchers, what whiny major, like what's Mad Bum gonna do when you change how far he's pitching from?
yeah, no.
Oh, boy.
Just no. Raise or lower the mound a little bit. Don't fuck with where it's at.
Okay.
But yeah, creating a baseball with more drag would help with both reducing home runs, increasing the number of ground balls hit because batters will then go for ground balls and line drives more. And it will cause the baseball to move more, which reduces the need for foreign substance.
Would you change the strike zone? Put it back the way that it used to be, a little bit bigger?
I would enforce the strike zone the way it is in the rule book now. Because right now,
All right.
what's being enforced is like if it's a little above belt height, then it still gets called a strike, and otherwise it won't. But the actual rule book says is almost a ball or two higher than that is still a strike. So it would be at the letters. Actually, going across full ball across the letters is a strike, and
I'm
that's
going to count
just
that as
not
changing
getting
the
called.
strike zone.
Yeah.
Changing
what about
the
the
de
shift?
facto strike zone?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what about the shift idea then?
Limiting the shift so that there have to be two infielders on each side of second base.
Yeah.
I think that creates some weird plays which are interesting to watch, but those are only interesting if we can make it so that, hitters beat the shift regularly enough that it becomes a strategic decision and not a foregone conclusion.
So,
Yeah.
in my opinion, this is like a double-edged sword. On the one hand, I think like the shifts are like it's crazy how much shifting is going on. On the other hand, in my opinion, this could also be a problem that batters solve themselves.
I think it should be a problem that batters solve themselves.
I don't
Yeah.
know if I agree with that. Hitting is already absurdly hard. And baseball has become so data-driven that, like, right now, you can look at the numbers and just know whether or not a shift is the right thing to do, which is what teams are doing. And I think that's so much harder for batters to overcome rather than just, like those data are still going to exist.
Yeah.
So, like, it's still going to end up being min-maxed for which batters you put on which shift, unless you add in some rule control for it, whereas, like, batters haven't gotten that much better over the last time. Like, batting is a very hard thing to do. I don't think suddenly ask them to totally change all of that. Like some elite hitters are good at doing certain things, but it's really hard to hit a ball in general, let alone direct work.
All right. In that case, if we're going with that, then I would say that the idea of limiting the shift with infielders alone is dumb and bad, and I would say just 4 fielders on either side of the line from home plate to second base. Outfielders, infielders, whatever. Which means you can still have an
Okay,
almost
yeah.
shift. You can have your you could shift over an entire infielder. You could go, all right, we're gonna have the third baseman, left fielder, and center fielder. With the center fielder hugging the line. Like, that's fine. So you can still have a shift, but it limits your options.
I do think that will be a little bit more difficult to enforce.
Yeah, it's a
Because,
lot
like-
harder to just, to pick out where a center fielder is compared to infielders and which side of second base they're on. Granted, the home plate umpire, has a perfect line down there, but that's also asking a lot of the home plate umpire to, suddenly change where they're paying attention from,
They've been doing
Unless-
video offsides reviews in soccer for decades. Like, if we can't get this done in baseball with a million camera angles that are tracking a baseball to within a millimeter, then I don't know what the hell we're doing.
But baseball doesn't have an immediate penalty system. and you'd have
Yeah.
to like introduce that because a pitcher isn't necessarily look like you'd be asking the pitcher to look way back and figure out what's going on. So like, what happens if you do make a pitch and then the center fielder is a little bit off the center line in the wrong direction? Like, I think that opens a can
That's
of worms.
also
It's like,
that's already what the pitcher is doing. He already has to wait for his fielders to be set to field a baseball. Like, that's not changing. You're just asking them, instead of waiting for the fielders to be in the proper positioning that the team has decided for the shift, to wait until they're in the proper positioning for the shift that is legal by the rules. Like, you're not
but
changing
then you
too
get,
much here.
but then you're fighting against speeding the game up.
yeah, and that's
You
also
still-
a hard
you
thing
keep
for
the pitch
center
clock.
fielders to determine. Like, if they have to ride the line, like
As if a center fielder doesn't know exactly where they are by GPS positioning in the major leagues.
major league rules become minor league rules.
Yeah,
They become
where they
college
also
rules.
have GPS positioning. Like,
Like,
some
okay,
teams
so-
have.
Like,
then
the
draw,
shift rule is gonna
literally
become-
draw a line.
Sure, I think that it's
Yeah,
a
if you
lot
draw
to ask.
if you draw an actual line, then maybe why
Draw
not?
a literal line up center field.
Okay. All right.
Make
All
it
right.
yellow. Make it a different color. I don't care.
All right.
Just
Oh god, that's awful. That's so bad.
Yellow line.
It's so
Well,
terrible.
it matches the foul pole, so it works.
Sure.
So he also mentioned, Bailey also mentioned shortening the season to 140 games with a maximum playoff expansion to 12 participants and the universal DH. Sure, why not?
I like the universal DH.
I like universal DH. I'm a big fan of watching pitchers hit. Yeah.
I love
I
watching
think like a
pitchers
lot.
hit.
Yeah, I love it when they rake. I don't love it when they just strike out. Like,
Or when they
Oh,
go up
99%
with.
of
So
the
the thing
time.
is, they often just go up with no intention of ever taking the bat off.
yeah, or they just bunt, which is fun, but you know.
Like it's
Okay,
a goofy,
sorry.
fun thing when American League pitchers have
Let
to
me-
hit in National League ballparks.
Let me rephrase. I like watching Bartolo Colon hit.
Yeah, but
and
he's out
that
of
would
the
not have
game.
happened. Yeah, but that wouldn't have happened with the universal DH.
Yeah, but that doesn't like I agree, and there's some really fun aspects of having pitchers hit, like the one time where the only run that the Phillies scored in an entire series with the Giants was on the Jake Arrieta home run. But it doesn't account, like it doesn't weigh up against the negative of having to see basically a college level hitter face
Major league pitching,
Major
yeah.
League pitching.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
So that's my opinion.
I think the
Okay.
universal DH is good.
And it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen anyway, so why not right away?
Yeah,
Sure.
Shortening the season. I'm not too sure about that. I just
I like it being a long drag.
yeah, I don't necessarily disagree with shortening the season. I just like I
But-
don't have a strong feeling about it.
Not me neither.
I think 140 games versus 162. That's still a lot of games. That's still almost
Mm-hmm.
twice as many as every single other major American sport.
Sure,
At
but
least.
like it's
Like, it's
baseball
still
is
a
a
lot of
physical
games.
sport, but like it's less hard on your body day to day than football is.
Okay.
It's
but
more
adding
it's more a
20
mental
rest-
it's more a mental issue at that point.
But adding 20 rest days between March or the end of March and the beginning of October is, not a whole bunch.
Yeah, it doesn't make like it's
Give-
it's a minor point in my
Give
opinion.
teams a bye week, honestly. Like do
Yeah.
what football is doing. They go,
Okay.
we're playing 16 games and one week your team doesn't play. Do that for baseball. Let players go home and see their family middle of the season.
They get plenty of time with their family.
Sure. Which is why they get shit on for taking 3 days off when their kid's born.
Yeah. Oh, how dare they? Speaking of like how players are treated, let's maybe dive into how owners could invest in the sport. And one of the points that Foolish Baseball raised was just pay minor leaguers money.
Yeah. Give
Just
them a
give
living
them-
wage.
Give them a living wage and give them nutrition, training, housing, and mental skills. I mean, that's like that's very low-hanging fruit that every team should do, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because the total cost would be $5.8 million per year, which is just 1 year of Archie Bradley. I can do without Archie Bradley on the Phillies. If that means that all the minor leaguers get at least like living standards, yeah.
Yeah, like the return on investment would be almost immediate.
Yeah, it's a
Just-
thing that should be done, and it's an easy PR win, and the only reason that teams haven't done it is because of, it costs them money, and they don't like that.
Yeah, it's like it doesn't make them win now. It makes them win in 6 years. Like it's still a super short turnaround, but it doesn't make money here today, which is
Yeah.
I think quite.
Oh, yeah.
And that
I think
entire
that's
mindset
all.
of like not developing baseball long term, but like trying to make it a profitable thing now is what's driving a lot of the decline of.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. He also mentioned service time issues being resolved. I mean that's we all want that. Just like make it so that it cannot be abused as easily. And then there's the luxury tax. which he...
Can you explain the luxury tax?
Yeah, so teams can, like, over the course of a player's contract, there's an average annual value. And what the luxury tax does is basically add all the average annual values for a specific year on top of each other. And then you're basically free of any taxes up to $210 million. As soon as you go over that with your player payroll, as they call it, you have to pay taxes, and it depends on how long you've been over the luxury tax threshold. The more tax that you have to pay. Like the first year, it's like very little percent. The second year it becomes more, but you can reset it if you're over the
being
yeah,
the
exactly.
raise.
Yeah, so exactly. So you're 1 year over the threshold. Next year you're under, then you basically reset the whole process.
Yeah, it encourages teams to tank every.
It encourages, like, it's there because they want to avoid a like team spending, the teams that spend more to like win more.
Just win.
But it also promotes cheapness from the owners.
Yeah, and it's tough because it really disproportionately helps teams that are from big market areas. So teams from Chicago, Los Angeles, New York end up being able to pay the luxury tax a lot better because there is no hard salary cap.
Yeah,
So
fines
these
are just a cost to do a thing.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
If you can pay the fine, then it's just, parking here costs $750.
Yeah, it's so, the Yankees can afford it, whereas like the Diamondbacks can't. So it creates a huge like division between the haves and have-nots in the league, depending on what size of market you're in, and that just like causes self-perpetuating problems. Because if the Yankees have enough money that they can always field a better team than everyone else, then they'll win more games. So more people will come to their games and buy their merch, and then they'll keep on having more money to spend on better and better players. So I think the lack of a salary cap is really bad for Major Baseball.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
You gotta.
So yeah, go ahead.
You got to put in a salary cap. It's a
So
requirement at this
that's
point.
basically what Foolish Baseball is also suggesting, and then add a salary floor as well, so that teams have to spend at least $140 million on their payroll.
Which would encourage players getting actually paid and not
Exactly.
everybody
And
being
also
the raise.
Less tanking, because right now you have teams that have like a $30 million payroll for an entire season, which is just insane. Because that's like 40 players that they're paying.
Yeah, it's like you're not trying to win.
Less than $1 million.
You just know that you're going to get some amount of money for people coming to the park and for your TV deals and for merch and stuff.
Yeah.
And you're just like, whatever, I can make money by just not paying players.
Exactly,
There's
that's
some
the
amount
issue.
of money
Like,
that
even
I'm always gonna...
so even if owners save on their team, they're still making profits. That's
Yeah.
probably the issue. Okay. Yeah, I think we all agree that that's a thing that has to be done. Barney, you wanted to talk about how to get more young fans in the stands and watching the TV.
Yeah, absolutely.
Go ahead.
So there are a couple things that people have talked about. For instance, making tickets to come to games in person free, at least for like matinee games, weekday games, just to encourage people to come to the ballpark, regardless of the fact that that takes away from the pain of the fact that you also have to pay a bunch of money for parking because your CEO is really cheap. For instance, also having teams, donate cheap plastic bats and balls to elementary schools in the area, or having these sort of training programs where the players or the team infrastructure helps bring up people in the area. I think that those are all good. But the thing that I want to talk about is making the All-Star break better. Because I think that there's a golden opportunity for Major League Baseball to turn the All-Star break into like a big deal that's a ton of fun. And this is something that I know that I've talked about with you guys like last year sometime.
We had a discussion on this, yeah.
But one of the most fun parts of the All-Star break is the home run derby, because it's exciting to watch. So what my thought is that I think there should be a home run derby equivalent for every position in baseball. There should be like a pitch speed contest, or a pitch accuracy contest where you the dunk tank games where you have to throw a ball at the target. They should have that during the home run derby. Have players compete for that. Have different infielders compete with different cool infield skills that are flashy and fun to watch. Have people make diving catches as part of like a derby style event. I think that would be really cool. And it would get people excited about more parts of the game, and it would turn the entire All-Star break into like a big, hopefully revenue generating thing, but also like a big interest generating part of the year, where you can see all sorts of the best parts of baseball on display with the best players in the MLB.
Yeah. So what the NFL does, at least, is so the entire week leading up to the Pro Bowl, which is their version of the All-Star game, they have all of the players in the Pro Bowl compete in team challenges, and so like there's quarterback accuracy, which is basically what we would do for pitchers, and there's team-based games. Like at the end, they just do a big dodgeball competition with all of the NFL players that are in the Pro Bowl, which is fantastic. And so I fully agree with you. Like there should be just more of that shit, but in the MLB.
I feel like we've talked about this. Like I think we had a conversation about 2 hours of how we want to. This is definitely something that we will bring back to a podcast once. Like our idea of like maybe around the All-Star break would be a good time to like say like what we think
how we
those
remake
challenges.
the All-Star break.
Yeah. But I think like in general, I agree. Like you also have like there's going to be a combine sort of thing this year before the draft. So that's like a step in the right direction already. But I do agree that the All-Star break should be more exciting. A home run derby is fun, but there should be more.
There should be.
Yeah. And that would also give players more time to rest, as we've talked about. Like it is a grueling season. If you make the All-Star break a few days longer and have these like more events, that'll give all of the players in the league, even the ones who don't show up, a little bit more time to hang out in the middle of the season, enjoy the heart of the summer with their family, or just rest their arms. So
and it also helped fill the All-Star break because right now there's just 5 days of which there's baseball on one of them.
Yeah.
All right.
So I think the other big thing that's worth talking about here, we touched on it a little bit with regards to the Kevin Mather issue, but it's really investing in and building up the young superstars of the game. We don't have time to go into all of the details about this historic contract for Fernando Tatis Jr.
But we should at least mention it.
Yeah, we should touch on it. He just signed a contract with the San Diego Padres for 14 years, $340 million.
Yep.
And Fernando Tatis Jr. is just a pleasure to watch. He's loud. He's got a bright personality. He's an absolutely sublime player. And he's gotten into some trouble for swinging at a 3-0 pitch when you're up 7 runs with the bases loaded and hitting a grand slam, which is awesome.
That's fun.
But there are a bunch of these young players who they have loud personalities and they have baseball skills to match them. There's Juan Soto with his sliding around, licking his lips, grabbing his crotch, like
that's beautiful.
It's
a thing of beauty to watch.
It is. It's great. And a lot of the old sort of entrenched baseball establishment loves to get on people's case for making the game fun. People don't like it when people watch their home runs and flip their bat, but that's exciting.
It's
people
fun.
don't like when people swing 3-0, but that leads to fun stuff happening in the game. And I think that we should encourage that. There shouldn't be these cases where people feel like they need to apologize or change their behavior because they did something, because they had fun with the game. So just generally, we should really work on making the game more
fun.
More fun.
I agree.
And just make it more acceptable for players to make it exciting.
Yeah. And I think the Padres recognized the diamond that they have in Tatis Jr. in that respect as well, just how marketable he is. How he's going to be the face of baseball for the entirety of that contract normally. Yeah. He's going to be fun to watch. He's going to perform. He's going to be a playoff hero for them. I mean, and he's playing a premier position. He's playing in an infield that also has Manny Machado and Eric Hosmer. So what was that combined, those deals?
I think it's $812 million
so $812
total contract
million
for their infield.
Yeah. So that's over all the years combined.
Yeah, over the entire lengths of their contract. The Padres are on the hook for almost $1 billion worth of infield.
Yeah, and so I think maybe one more thing to touch on this extension as well is we've never seen anything like this. We've never seen a player who's 22 years old get that much money. So the previous record for pre-arbitration deals was Trout, who got a $144.5 million deal, and this is more than double. This is double.
This is $200 million more than that.
Yeah, $300 million. Where there's a no trade clause in there. So basically, if Tatis Jr. wants to stay in San Diego for his entire duration of his contract, he can. There's no way they can make him leave. There's also a $10 million signing bonus there. And one thing I'm wondering about is how does Ronald Acuna feel right now? he had a extension for which was like for 100 million for 8 years. This blows this right out of the water.
Oh yeah.
I think that's a shame that Acuna is not getting that much money. But I can understand why he would take the deal. It's the same thing with Evan White. You take the
these
deal
things
because,
happen incrementally, right?
Yeah, exactly. And you just get those, like you just take the money. And yeah, I think it's a great deal. It's a great deal for the Padres as well. They just showed a willingness to sign up their best player, which is something we haven't seen a lot of teams do, like the Cleveland Indians, like the Boston Red Sox. The Padres just have shown the baseball world once again they're willing to go all out and just be a dynasty.
I'm excited for it.
Yeah, and I think the most important part of this all for the long-term health of the game is not about the Padres wanting to invest in their own team and make a dynasty, but Fernando Tatis Jr. has he's come under some fire from the old baseball fuddy-duddies recently. So I really appreciate that the Padres have taken this step in the direction of really rewarding someone for being an excellent athlete and also just a great person to watch play baseball. Because he makes the sport more fun. He makes baseball a better game. So
And that's what it's all about.
Yeah, I want to see this happen more. I want to see it for Juan Soto. I want to see it for Julio Rodriguez when he comes up. I don't want to see owners complaining about his English. I want to see them rewarding him for being both an excellent player and a super fun personality to watch. That's what I want to see long term.
I think it's also okay to be boring, like Marco Gonzalez apparently is. But
or Mike
but
Trout.
the game the game needs
Allegedly
players.
is.
Yeah, but the game needs players like a Tatis and like a Machado as well. Just players that make it fun, that flip the bat, that are biased, that makes those terrific tags.
Yeah.
Owners, listen up. Shut the hell up. Pay the man.
Exactly.
Do it. You know who I'm talking about. Pay him.
everyone. Pay everyone.
Yeah,
pay all your players.
And that'll get people in stadiums. I want to go to a game and
definitely.
watch exciting players. I want to pay for an MLB TV subscription to watch exciting players. I don't want to see these players being chastised for who they are and what they're doing. And then, I don't want to watch a neutered Juan Soto. I don't want to pay for that. I want to see him be him.
Yeah, if you neuter him, what is he going to grab?
He'll just lick his lips.
And with that bombshell, I think we're calling it for this particular podcast.
Absolutely.
Thank you everyone for listening. Reminder that you can find us on YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Music, and on Google Podcasts as well. Pretty much everywhere where you get your podcasts. Be sure to check out our other content. So we're doing a countdown to opening day right now with division off-season grades. We've already done the AL East and the AL Central. We're going to do the AL West next. We're also planning on taking the Mariners to the World Series, but then in a virtual world, which is OOTP baseball. And then we've got a bunch of other plans as well, so stick around for those. Ollie, say goodbye to the people.
Goodbye to the people.
And now Barney.
Every time.
I know.
It's funny every time.
Barney, can you be more serious, please?
Goodbye.
And it's goodbye from me.